What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and let's talk about executive orders by the president for more stimulus and more stimulus checks on a federal level to everybody in the nation. This is your breaking news stimulus check update and stimulus package update. Now, for those of you that have been following me here on the channel, you've heard that the president has issued executive orders for wiping out $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness, but a lot of people are saying, what about those fourth federal level stimulus checks? Well, the success of these executive orders for stimulus provisions will likely determine what's going to be unfolding with more executive actions for stimulus. But before we dive into the headlines and I get you all the updates, let me know your thoughts. What if this doesn't go through and they just cancel it all out and instead issue out more funds for stimulus checks? Would that be a better solution than wiping out the student loan debt forgiveness? Well, you guys, let me know your thoughts, but this is still up in the air as take a look at these headlines coming out. A conservative group just asked the Supreme Court to block Biden's student loan forgiveness, saying it is critical that the relief is halted this week. Now, this just came out yesterday, and the concern is that the president does not have the legal authority to issue out new funds. Congress holds the power of the purse. However, the president does have the legal authority to reallocate and reissue existing funds. And just in case you were wondering, I'm keeping you up to date. Here's the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. This is the pandemic money tracker as we are currently dealing with the pandemic, money that has been issued out by the federal government. Here you can see where things currently stand. And you can see out of administrative actions, they have spent a certain amount, up to $1 trillion is available. Legislative actions, this is where Congress steps in, this orange bar right here. There has been allocated $6 trillion, and out of that $6 trillion, distributions amount to $5.5 trillion, meaning that there is still $500 billion left over just sitting there, which is almost exactly what is going to be needed if we were to send out a fourth federal level stimulus check of $2,000. Now, take a look at this, you guys. This came out earlier this year, back in January. $2,000 stimulus checks. There was a petition that hit 3 million signatures. That's roughly about 1% of the nation's population saying we need stimulus checks. But take a look at this. Stimulus checks, fourth federal level checks, they were saying it was needed due to the pandemic, but also this one wanted $2,000 per month stimulus checks to go out to everybody in the nation. Now, let me know your thoughts. Should this still take place? Is this too much? We're dealing with some pretty record high inflation right now, and it's hurting the American people. But the argument is being made that if it was just stimulus checks that went out, that would be more targeted, more focused, and not all of these other stimulus provisions just sending out stimulus checks. And take a look at this, you guys. This just coming out in August. Stimulus checks likely in the next recession, economists, experts are saying. I just let you know about an article that came out recently saying former Treasury secretaries are also saying that a recession is likely coming and stimulus checks will be needed. Take a look at this, you guys, just coming out yesterday. Bloomberg economists forecast a 100% chance of a U.S. recession this next year, meaning we are likely going to be entering into a recession as we enter into 2023, and more stimulus provisions and assistance are likely going to be needed. People are going to be hurting. We're hearing that things are not going to be looking good for our economy. And to add insult to injury, take a look at this, you guys. Europe's pandemic wave happening right now is suggesting that the U.S. outbreak is going to be looming around the corner, and they're saying prepare yourselves now for the wintertime. A new wave of the pandemic is going to be hitting, and the concern is that this is even more contagious and more transmissible than we had with the Omicron variant. And as you'll recall, the concern is not the deadliness of this particular strain. The concern is that everybody getting sick all at the same time will put a strain on resources, overwhelm hospitals, and cause a lot of pain all at once, you guys. Now, we will see. I will keep you up to date, but I shared with you in a previous video that they're saying prepare yourselves over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. Things might be getting intense. So let me get you caught up, though, on what is happening right now with the executive orders by the president for the stimulus to wipe out $10,000 of student loan debt, as what's going to be unfolding with that will likely be a huge determining factor as to what's going to be unfolding with stimulus checks. So let's go ahead and dive right in. But before we do me a quick favor, smash the like button if you appreciate the updates. Hit the subscribe button to stay up to date. Any specific questions, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. Check out my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, where you can learn about growing wealth, personal finance. More content coming on that channel as well. And also, you guys, www.reliefroadmap.com to get access to the comprehensive list of every stimulus check in the nation. Well over 100 different programs I'm assembled all into one place for states, cities, counties, so you can access it. And people that have had login and access issues, they're getting access now. I'm getting them access, going through one by one, helping people so that way you can have access to that resource. And more programs are going to be added this week as well, you guys. But with that being said, let's dive into this article and get you caught up on the latest. All right, you guys, so link in the description below to this article that just came out yesterday that says a conservative group just asked the Supreme Court to block Biden's student loan forgiveness. And as I mentioned, if this is blocked, that's going to be huge. That could mean other executive actions by the president could get blocked as well, including ones for stimulus checks. However, it also could be that he just went about this the wrong way. As I mentioned, this is kind of a gray area. It needs to be done correctly. President cannot issue new funds, but he can reallocate existing funds. And we have existing funds just sitting there that can be tapped into. Now it says a Wisconsin conservative group is asking the Supreme Court of the United States to block Biden's student debt relief. This comes after a federal judge already struck down the lawsuit, saying that the group does not have standing. The groups argued that the loan forgiveness has an improper racial motive and is unconstitutional. Now, a conservative taxpayer group wants President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan blocked as soon as possible, and it's taking matters to the Supreme Court. Now, the Brown County Taxpayer Association in Wisconsin filed an emergency request to the Supreme Court on yesterday, asking to temporarily pause Biden's student debt relief plan before Sunday, when the group expects the administration to start officially canceling borrowers' debts. So you guys, that's going to be happening this weekend in just a few days if it is not blocked. The conservative group, represented by the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, will initially file a lawsuit against the debt relief on October 4th, arguing that it has an improper racial motive by seeking to help black borrowers and advance racial equity. It said Biden exceeded his constitutional power by enacting the loan relief without congressional approval. 2 days later, a federal judge tossed out the lawsuit. While that decision is being appealed, the group is now escalating the issue to the Supreme Court in an effort to block Biden's plan from taking effect. It is critical that the U.S. Supreme Court weighs in on the president's unconstitutional student loan relief plan before Sunday, when the loan forgiveness could start. The Sunday deadline refers to the previous court filing from Biden's administration that noted no student debt would be canceled before October 23rd. The group is asking the Supreme Court to respond to the two questions surrounding the legality of the loan forgiveness: whether a taxpayer can sue in federal court to prevent the overreach of constitutional spending power, and whether the HEROES Act permits broad debt relief for millions of Americans. The HEROES Act has been widely debated even before Biden announced debt relief. While his administration said that it gives Educational Secretary the authority to modify or waive student loan balances in connection with a national emergency like the pandemic, many conservatives have claimed that Biden's policy is an overreach of that authority. Now, at least 6 major conservative groups have filed lawsuits seeking to halt Biden's student debt relief. And while federal judges have struck down at least 2 of them so far, borrowers are still awaiting the decision from a federal judge who heard arguments last week from 6 Republican-led states who sought to block the loan forgiveness, arguing that the relief would hurt their state's tax revenues, among other things. The emergency filing also comes just days after Biden's official launch of the student loan forgiveness application. During Monday's remarks, Biden noted that 8 million borrowers had already applied for relief through a simple form that takes just minutes to fill out, only requiring basic information like borrowers' email addresses and social security numbers. For now, the Biden administration is moving forward with the debt relief application process and recommends that borrowers submit their forms before mid-November to ensure that the debt cancellation will be processed before payments resume in January. Wow, so there you have it, you guys. Now let me know your thoughts. Do you think that this is going to go through? Do you think it's going to get blocked? Should they even be doing this? Should they be sending out student loan debt forgiveness and helping out students? Or do you think, no, they shouldn't? They should instead send out stimulus checks to everybody. Everybody should get checks. Or should they not not do anything at all. Stop the stimulus. Inflation is out of control, and we don't need to do anything that's going to be adding even more so to any potential inflation. Let me know your thoughts. And also, do you think there's a case here? They're saying that this is racially motivated. They're saying that according to the data, the majority of people that are going to be helped out here are Black African Americans. And we also heard even further research and data saying it's focusing on Black women, that they hold the most federal student loan debt. And we had heard as well that those votes were critical in Biden winning over former President Donald Trump. And some are saying that this measure for stimulus is politically motivated to secure those votes. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. Do you think that's the case? If they sent out federal level stimulus checks, that would put money in the pockets of a much broader amount of people. Do you think that might be a better decision and might secure more votes and approval? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, you guys. But we will see, and I will keep you up to date. Now, what we're hearing is if there's going to be a change, if there's going to be a decision, whatever's going to happen, it's got to happen before this weekend to stop the distributions, the forgiveness to start unfolding, because they're saying by October 23rd is when they're going to start sending out the forgiveness. So we will see. I will keep you up to date. But you guys, that is the latest. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for me. Hit the subscribe button to stay up to date. I'll let you know everything going on. All the sources are cited in the description below if you'd like to read them for yourself. Any specific questions, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. Check out my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth, personal finance, and also www.reliefroadmap.com to access the comprehensive list of every stimulus check in the nation on every level, states, cities, counties, so you don't miss out on anything. But with that being said, you guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.